Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to our class. I am your instructor Adil Raza and today we have to learn an SLO from grade 6 and it's our unit 8 and it's our last SLO of this unit. So let's find out what is the competency of this SLO and what is the main topic of our today's SLO. So here we have the competency of writing for this SLO and it's our lecture 6B and most probably the last lecture of this unit, and we have the topic the poem writing and writing the main idea of a poem. So let's find out how to write different poems and particularly the descriptive poems. We will get a clear idea which type of poems we have to write, we have to learn in this lecture. So let's read the SLO from which we will get a better idea of this today's lecture's topic. So here the SLO, write the main idea of a familiar and unfamiliar poem. So in this SLO we will address how to write the main idea primarily, and in the second SLO write a poem describing objects or places. So we have to learn how to write the describing poems, the poems which are actually describing some objects, some events, some actions or some persons. So such type of poems which we have to read, or we would say that we have to learn to write in today's lecture or in this SLO. So let's go further. Here is the vertical linkage. I hope you guys have got it. Let's go further. Here is the brainstorming session. So let's do brainstorming. What is the prompt? Have you ever written a poem or noticed that each poem gives a particular message? So I hope you guys have noticed that. I'm not much sure that you have written some poem or not, but you will definitely identify or notice that every poem must convey some idea. So let's go further. And that message which a poem conveys is actually considered as the main idea of the poem, which we have to identify. So the main message which a poem is conveying is actually the main idea of a poem. So let's find out what is meant by a poem. A poem is a form of writing that expresses emotions, ideas or stories in a creative way, often using rhythm, rhyme and vivid language. So a poem is a piece of writing which express the emotions, ideas in a musical way, in a melodious way or in a rhythmic way. So what are the different types of poems? Poems can be narrative, story based poems. Poems can be descriptive, they describe some object or something. The poems can be lyrical, like the song like poems. So I hope you guys have understand what is meant by different types of poems. So let's go further. In this lecture, in this SLO, we have to learn about the descriptive poems. So let's find out what is meant by the descriptive poems. The word descriptive is come from description, and description mean to tell about something, to describe something. So these poems actually describe different objects. They define or they tell us about different objects. So a descriptive poem uses vivid language to describe objects, people or places. So such type of poems are actually centered upon some place, some people, some objects or some person, and they describe or tell us about that thing, that person or that place. So how to write such type of poems which actually describe something? So such type of forms, for the sake of writing such types of form, firstly we have to choose a topic. We have to choose any object or a place or a person on which we have to write. Secondly, you have to use your sense. Think about how it looks, how it sounds, how it feels, smells and tastes. So you have to choose an object. So you have to think what is the object, how that object looks like. If the object has sound, how it sounds. If the object have feelings, how it feels, how it smells to you. If the object is a food, how it tastes. So you have to identify such type of things to describe something. So you have to use your senses to identify about any object or a place or a person. Thirdly, you have to use descriptive language. So let's we take an example. You have to choose a person. So for the sake of a person, you have to identify what the person looks like, what the person sounds like and how you feel about that person. So you can write about a person, a descriptive form to telling the readers about these three things. So this is how you have to write descriptive poems, and you have to use descriptive language, use some adjectives to tell how someone sounds, how someone looks, how someone smells, and the creative phrases to make your poem interesting. I hope you have understand how to write the descriptive form. Let's go to the second SLO. Here we have to identify the main idea, which I have mentioned, that the central message or theme that the poem conveys. So the central message of any poem is actually considered as its main idea. So how to find it? Firstly, you have to look for repeated words or phrases. If there in a poem, let's suppose we can say that a word spring is repeated many a time, so it can be that the main idea of that poem is about spring. It can be about the beauty of spring, it can be about the pleasures of spring, or like that. Secondly, you have to pay attention to the title first and last line. So you have to read the title. From the title you can get very much clarity, or very much we can say that comprehension about the theme of the poem. Secondly, you have to read the first line, the last line. From the first and last line, most of the time the main message is clear. Lastly, think about the overall feeling and mode of the poem. So lastly, you have to read the poem, and then you have to then through the decoding of the meaning of the poem, you can identify, you can have to think what the poem was about, what was the main message of the poem, and which is the main message of the poem is actually considered as the main idea of a poem. So let's go further. I hope you guys have understand what is the main idea, how to find main idea, what is a descriptive poem, and how to write a descriptive poem. So here we have an example of a descriptive poem. So through this we will learn either our steps of writing a descriptive poem are effective or not, and secondly we will identify the main idea of this poem to know our identification skills about the main idea. So let's read this poem. This poem is actually a descriptive poem, that's why it is centered on winter, which is a season. So we can expect that the poet has described the winter. So how he describes the winter? The snowflakes dance in the chilly air. The blanket of white spreads everywhere. The fireplace crackles warm and bright, filling the room with a soft gloomy light. Hot cocoa streams in the favorite mug. As I curled up cozy, wrapped in a rug. The world outside is cold and grey, but inside it is perfect winter day. So actually in this poem, because it's a descriptive form, so he has to describe the winter. And what is a winter? Winter is a season. So what happens in this season? He tells that the chilly airs are in this season, the snowflakes are in this season, the whiteness, or we can say that the whiteness of snow spreads everywhere. He tells us about how are the days, how are the we can say that the fire in this season. So this is how he described the season of winter with different perspectives. What is the environment of outside, what is the environment of inside the house during the winter season. So this is how he described this winter season, which is illustrated in this picture. So what is the main idea? The main idea of this poem, because the poem is centered upon the winter, so we can say that the main idea of the poem is winter, or we can say that the beauty of winter, the life during the winter. So such type of phrases can be considered as the main idea, because this is the main message which is conveyed in this poem. So I hope you guys have understand how to write a descriptive poem and how to deduce the main idea of any poem. So use your understanding of this SLO, of these SLOs, and attempt this classroom activity. So let's go further. Here we have a simulation. This simulation also enlarge your understanding about writing descriptive poems or identification of the main themes of the poem. So let's go further. Here we have a worksheet. Pause the video and attempt this worksheet according to your understanding which you have gained from this lecture. So let's go further. Here is the homework. In this homework you have to write the main idea of the descriptive poem, which you have to write as the classroom activity in the classroom activity. So you have to write the main idea of that descriptive form as well as the homework. So let's go further. Here is the resource pack. This resource pack will assist you to achieve this SLO, to learn the SLO in a better way. I hope you guys have understand this lecture. I hope you guys have understand how to write a descriptive form, what is a descriptive form, how to identify the main idea, what is a main idea. If you find any issue, any question, any doubt regarding this lecture, regarding these SLOs, you can ask in the comment section, and you can ask from your teacher as well. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.